Alright guys, welcome to my UFC 196 prediction video. I think over the last couple of weeks I've watched more content for this event than any other event in the past that I can remember really. The embedded shows, the countdown shows, the press conferences and the various interviews have been really good, and I think the UFC needs a lot of praise for what they've done. With Nate Diaz coming in as a late replacement to Rafael dos Anjos. I think they've done a great job in promoting the fight. McGregor's done a good job as always in getting the media spotlight on him. And I think Diaz needs a lot of praise in my mind because he kept his cool at the press conferences when a lot of bad things were being said towards him and his little group. So it's going to be interesting tonight. It's going to be an interesting card, and some things will happen for sure. So, going to the predictions themselves, I'm not going to go through the prelim card just because I need to rush this video a little bit. But the one fight I will predict from the prelims is Jim Miller and Diego Sanchez. Jim Miller's been in the UFC for so many years now. He's 32-year-old, 5'8". He's had 33 fights with 25 wins, 7 losses with 1 no contest. His brother actually fought in the UFC, Dan Miller. And he's been in the UFC since 2008. And he's beat the who's who in the lightweight division. Or let's say he's faced the who's who, Went on a really good, impressive winning streak from UFC 100 to UFC 128 there. And I think he fought a title eliminator against Benson Henderson in 2011, which he lost. But in recent years, his record's not looked as good as it has in the past. But, he's faced some real good guys. So, big fight against Diego Sanchez tonight. And Diego Sanchez now is 34-year-old. Still looks like a teenager. 5'10", fought in various weight classes over the years. 33 fights, 25 wins, 8 losses. I've just seen that other name, split decision. That makes me laugh a little bit. Okay, so he's been in the UFC since 2005. The Ultimate Fighter finale, which he beat Kenny Florian. Went on a good winning streak there, beating Nick Diaz, Karo Parisian. But I think out of everybody in UFC's history, I've got to be honest, I think Diego Sanchez has had the best fights in the UFC out of every other fighter. I mean, maybe not the most technical fights, but just crazy fights, brawls, bloody fights. So, take it off to Diego Sanchez. So against Jim Miller tonight, I'm going to go with Diego in this. I think he'll win via decision, and I think he'll just try and outwork Jim Miller. Okay, so let's get on to the main card here. Amanda Nunes against Shevchenko. Amanda Nunes, last time I seen her, she's known as the Lioness, 5'8". She's had 15 fights, 11 wins, 4 losses. And her last win was against Sarah McMahon, rear naked choke in August of 2015. She made a debut in the UFC in 2013, and her only loss is against Kat Zingano in the UFC, so it's not such a bad loss of that. And she's on a 2-fight winning streak, beating Shayna Baszler and Sarah McMahon. She's going to be against Shevchenko. Shevchenko's a well-known kickboxer. She's 5'5". She's got a kickboxing record of 58 fights, 56 wins, and 2 losses. Mixed martial arts record of 13 fights, 12 wins, and 1 loss. Okay, since quitting to the UFC, she had a debut against Sarah Kaufman, and that's a really tough debut to have in the UFC against Sarah Kaufman, because she's fought the who's who in women's MMA, Ronda Rousey, Miesha Tate, and everyone like that. In this, I'm going to go with Amanda Nunes because I've seen her a lot more, and I think she's got some great potential. I think if she's going to fight a smart game plan, she'll take it to the ground and try and finish Shevchenko on the ground. Okay, next to vote is Corey Anderson against Tom Lawler. Okay, Corey Anderson, I've watched all of his fights in the UFC. He's 6'3", big guy for the light heavyweight division. 8 fights, 7 wins and 1 loss. He is 26-year-old, so he's still really young. Okay, he won the Ultimate Fighter, Team Edgar versus Team Penn, which was the Ultimate Fighter 19. He won the light heavyweight tournament on that. Then he won Justin Jones, lost against Jean Valente, who's fighting on this card. Went and he's on a 2-fight winning streak. recently beating Fabio Maldonado. And one thing I wanted to say is I'm a big fan of Fabio Maldonado. I really love his style of fighting, just, pure madness. I love how he goes to the body with his boxing. But the UFC recently released him. It should say here. Okay, yep, subsequently released from the promotion. Okay, so they released him. And I really want the UFC to bring Fabio back because he had some really good fights in the UFC. And he faced some real tough guys. He fought Stipe on short notice. Got TKO'd. He's lost 2 in a row, but he lost against Rampage Jackson decision. Then he lost against Corey Anderson while taking him down to a decision. They should bring him back. He's a good guy. I like Fabio. So anyway, Corey Anderson got some good potential, but he's going to be against Tom Lawler, who is moving up from the middleweight division. I think he returned to light heavyweight in his last fight. He is 32-year-old, 6 foot. Really like Tom Lawler because he's a big fan of professional wrestling, and anybody who's a fan of professional wrestling, they're halfway to being a friend of mine. Okay, he's had 16 fights, 10 wins, 5 losses. And in my opinion, he should be on a 4-fight winning streak, okay? So you can see here he has got a loss against Francis Carmont. And in that fight, he clearly won that, in my opinion. He clearly won it. I remember watching it, and when Francis got the decision, and bearing in mind this is in Montreal where Francis is from, he's from Canada, I was disgusted because Tom Lawler won that. So in my mind, he's on a 4-fight winning streak in the UFC, and that's very good on your record. I'm going to go with Tom Lawler in this. He's got good wrestling and he's got knockout power, and I think everybody's underestimating him for this fight because I've seen the majority of people going with Corey Anderson in this one. Next of all is Jean Valente against Latifi. I don't know how you pronounce that guy's first name. He's 6'3" Valente, and he seems a really good guy. I've seen him with Chris Weidman and stuff like that, and they seem to be good friends. But he seems like a guy that you could have a laugh with, just have a chat with and stuff like that. 30-year-old. He's had 20 fights, 14 wins, 6 losses. Last time out, he beat Anthony Perosh, and I think that sent Anthony into retirement. I don't think he had another fight after that. No, he didn't. KO'd Anthony Perosh. Got a decent UFC record, sort of winning and losing. Pulled 2 wins together against Sean O'Connell and Corey Anderson. So this is a big fight for him in his career. He's very capable of beating people. Sort of fun fighter to watch as well. And he's going to be against Latifi, 32-year-old. 5'10", so he's a little bit short for the light heavyweight division. 73-inch reach as well. That's not too good, is it? He's had 16 fights, 11 wins, 4 losses, and 1 no contest. I remember seeing his debut against Masasi, and he went to a decision with Masasi, so he deserves a lot of respect for that. And he was like a short notice sort of guy, but he's got a decent record. And he's won his last 2 opponents via KO in the first round. So he's making short work of these guys in recent times. But I'm going to go with Valente in this. Really like the guy, so I've got to get behind him. And there's the bigger guy in this as well. So let's take that into consideration. Latifi should be a middleweight fight in my opinion. Okay, so the co-main event of the evening is Misha Cupcake Tate against Holly Holm. I always call Misha Cupcake because that's a middle name. I've been watching her for many years now. She's 29, 5'6". I've seen sometimes that she's 5'5", then 5'6", then 5'7". So I'll just assume she's 5'6". We'll meet in the middle with this. She's had 22 fights, 17 wins, and 5 losses. Just gonna have a drink of my cup of tea. Okay, right. Let's look at Strikeforce record here. Let's go all the way back. Okay, let's scroll through. So let's get Sarah Cuthbert in Strikeforce, and then she went on a 4-fight winning streak, actually becoming the bantamweight champion, beating Marlos Conan. I think that's how you say her name. She's from Holland, good fighter. Lost against Ronda Rousey. That was a highly anticipated fight. I remember watching that. She had a good win against Julie Kedzie, and that was one of the best women's fights I've ever seen with Julie Kedzie and Misha Tate. Lost 2 in a row against Kat Zingano, then Ronda Rousey. The Kat Zingano fight was brutal. Great fight, another great fight to watch. Fight of the night as well. Lost against Ronda Rousey, got into the third round with Ronda. At that time, that was just, crazy territory because everybody was struggling to get out of the first round with Ronda. Then she went on a 4-fight winning streak, beating 2 title contenders, Liz Carmouche and Sarah McMahon in the process. And then she had a good win against Jessica Ai, even dropped her in that fight. So she's going to be against Holly Holm in this one now. Holly Holm is 34-year-old, 5'8", so she's got the height advantage on Misha. Because she's fought at bantamweight, light welterweight and welterweight, light middleweight, 69-inch reach. That's really big for a woman, that. Boxing record is 38 fights, 33 wins and 2 losses with 3 draws. Kickboxing record is 3 fights, 2 wins and 1 loss. And the MMA career is perfect, 10 wins, 10 fights, 10 wins. Okay, let's get to an MMA record. Okay. So, one thing you'll notice about Holly Holm compared to other, women fighters is that she actually stops people. Look at this, she stopped, 5 opponents in a row early on in her career. Since coming into the UFC, she had a bit of a tricky fight against Raquel Pennington, and a lot of people were sort of writing her off in that one because, after the fight, shall I say, because it weren't really the most impressive sort of win. But that Raquel is so tough and durable, and she gets in your face, so she's a tough woman. So that was a good win for Holly Holm, in my opinion, and plus that was her UFC debut. Then she won the next fight decision. And then she beat Ronda Rousey, KO'd her in the second round. Brutal KO, one of the most brutal KOs you'll see in, women's fighting. Misha Tate, now I can hear some dogs barking anyway. Misha Tate, this is going to be a tricky one. And I'm literally 50-50 on this, who to choose. I will go with, I'm going to go with Misha Tate in this. And the main reason why is basically, I've been a fan of hers for a long time. I just like the way she fights. She's so tough. I just don't want to count her out now. So I'm going to go with Misha Tate in this. I think if she's smart, she'll try and take it to the ground. It's going to be easier said than done, that. But she's got some tools in the toolbox, put it that way. So I'm going to go with Misha Tate. The main event of the evening is Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor. Bit of a strange fight, this, because it's going to be at welterweight. So obviously, Conor McGregor is going up 2 weight classes, Nate Diaz going up 1. But the thing is, it's basically just being made so neither of them have to cut weight to get down to lightweight. Both being able to eat, the dinner and food without having to suck water out of them. Nate Diaz is 30-year-old now, 6 foot. Weighed in yesterday at 169. 76-inch reach. He's had 28 fights, 18 wins, 10 losses. Okay, let's look back at his record here. He used to fight in the WEC, I didn't even know that. So way back when. Okay, he made his UFC debut in 2007 against Manny Gaborian. Went on a good winning streak there. But the thing about Nate Diaz is, some of his losses in UFC were against guys that were older than him, and they were coming into their prime. So Clay Guida in 2009, he was coming into his prime, and he was a beast back then, Clay Guida. Joe Stevenson, that was a really close fight if I remember correctly. I thought Nate might have won that. Beat Melvin Gillard. He lost against Gray Maynard, split decision. That were a close fight. Went against Roy Markham and Marcus Davis. I think they're in the welterweight division, both of those fights. Okay. Then he lost against Dong Hyun Kim. And Dong Hyun Kim is just a giant guy for the welterweight division, just a huge guy. Lost against Roy McDonald. Roy's huge. He's about plus 200 pounds when he's walking around. He's a big guy, and he threw Nate around a little bit in that fight. And then he moved back to the lightweight division, which he should be at, in my opinion. He's a natural lightweight. Beating Gomi, Cerrone and Jim Miller in the process. Lost the title fight against Benson Henderson, and Benson Henderson put on a clinic in that fight. he really just used a great game plan, kicking, Nate Diaz lead leg and just taking advantage of everything he could. Great game plan. He lost against Josh Thompson, got TKO'd. Won Gray Maynard brutally. He beat the fuck out of Gray Maynard in that fight. I found it a little bit hard to watch that because at the time I was, thinking Gray Maynard should retire, and that sort of proved he should. Then lost against Dos Anjos. In that fight, he was clearly injured going into the fight because you could tell at the weigh-in that he didn't look in the best shape in the world. Clearly injured. And then recently he's beat Michael Johnson in December 2015. So he's got a good record. He's lost against the best of the best. And he's lost against some of the guys in the past when they were coming into their prime. So Nate Diaz has done a good job in his career, 100%. Okay, then he's going to be against Conor McGregor. Okay, Conor's 27, 5'9", fought in featherweight, lightweight, and now he's going to be fighting at welterweight. 21 fights, 19 wins, 2 losses, and he's also got a 1 win, amateur career. Let's go back to his early days. Okay, so he started off in March of 2008 in Dublin. He had 2 losses in his early career, both via submission. Joseph Duffy beat him in 2010. That was his last loss in November of 2010 at lightweight. And Joseph Duffy's a really good fighter, Then he's got on a crazy, winning streak, KOing people for fun. Made his UFC debut against Marcus Brimich in 2013. Had a good fight against Max Holloway despite being injured in that. Beat Diego Brandao, Dustin Poirier, Dennis Seaver, all by, KO or TKO. TKO Chad Mendes at UFC 189. Really good fight that actually. I actually enjoyed that fight because Chad took him down, showed Conor's main weakness, and then Conor prevailed and actually beat Chad. And he, KO'd Jose Aldo. I don't know why this is saying TKO'd because he clearly, knocked out Aldo. I don't know why I'm saying that anyway. And he stopped Jose, who was on like a 10-year unbeaten, streak, in 13 seconds. It was just crazy. My throat's just a little bit sore from talking. Anyway, so he's going to be against Nate Diaz. This is a tough one because the main thing I'm thinking of towards Nate Diaz is he hasn't had a full training camp. And, if you're going to be fighting 5 rounds against somebody that's been training, it's you're at such a disadvantage mentally. Conor McGregor, confident. I think he just thinks he can beat anybody that's in front of him. So I've got to go with Conor McGregor in this. I just think if Nate had a full training camp, I'd be thinking a little bit differently, especially with Nate's height advantage and everything like that. So I'm going to go with Conor McGregor. So thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the fights, and take care.